Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Darrell Steinberg, the mayor of Sacramento. We decided to hold this press event deliberately outdoors to, make the point even stronger about climate, about our community's commitment to being leaders on climate, and to point out what we so desperately need from our nation's leaders. I'm joined here by West Sacramento Mayor Christopher Cabaldon. Mayor Cabaldon and I launched the West Sacramento Climate Commission, which we will talk a little bit about today, which has made bold recommendations that we are in the process of working to implement around the issues of climate. Joined as well by Paul Lau, who was just appointed as the new general manager of the Sacramento Municipal Utilities District. Congratulations, Paul. Your first press conference as the SPUD general manager designee, and I know October 3rd you were going to take the reins, and I think it's wonderful for our community. You will do a great job. And Alberto Ayala, who is the head of our local air management quality district, who is been a climate leader, not just locally here, but statewide as well. We decided to have this event today because the president came to town. And people have asked, well, do you want to thank the president? Well, I want to say this, that a president's job, no matter from what party, no matter what his or her beliefs, always has had a tradition of responding to emergencies anywhere in our country. Blue states, red states, purple states, declaring emergencies, providing federal aid, that's what presidents do. So even though it's been 3 weeks, yes, we are glad that President Trump came today to talk about what more the federal government can do to assist us. But I think it's also important to point out that we hire presidents to lead, not to deny. There was a time in our history, recent history, when protecting people and the environment were bipartisan and national imperatives. Many people don't remember that it was Richard Nixon who signed the Federal Clean Air Act in the 1970s. Presidents lead and inspire, they don't deny. On the coronavirus and on climate, I know we're 50 days from an election, and so I don't want to be overly political. I just want to state the facts. Where this president has not only denied, he has retrenched. Objectively, the president has called for a $1.7 billion cut to the Environmental Protection Agency. He has successfully rolled back 3 of the most important Obama-era regulations that made climate a front and center national priority. The regulation that forced coal-fired plants to clean up their pollution, the requirement that oil refineries use clean technology to mitigate the impact on climate, and of course the California Clean Fuel Standards, which we pioneered back less than 20 years ago, all rolled back now. This morning he retweeted a claim from a climate denier that climate isn't real. Oh my God. Look at what we are living with here on the west coast of the country. And look what people all over the country live with the drastically changing climate and its impact on hurricanes and the damage that people experience in every single part of the country. Ironically, as California suffers, the place to look for international climate leadership is only several blocks away from here at the state capitol and in our state. because it is California that has shown the way. 100% renewable energy portfolio standard to say that we're going to work off renewables no later than 2045 and hopefully much earlier, and then forevermore, to lead around land use planning and how we grow in a way that is protective of the climate, something I'm had the privilege of working on. From so many other leadership actions, AB 32 to say we're going to cut back to 1990 levels and then go beyond that, and we're already well on our way. And then at the local level, where it really starts, both Sacramento and West Sacramento have stated declaratively, and we stated again here today, climate change is a core priority of our cities. Yes, we deliver basic services, that's what we do and what we must do. But leading on climate is equally important. And to that end, our commission called for going all electric when it comes to new construction in our city. 2023, all low rise. 2026, high rise. And we'll retrofit existing buildings along the way. While SMUD and our city and our private sector lead on building a California Mobility Center to be the center of research and development around clean fuels, and so much more. Today is a day to recommit our cities to future generations so that this doesn't have to be experienced as a permanent part of the California or national experience. We have a long way to go, and we desperately need national leadership. For as much as we can do here, as much as we can do in California, there is no substitute for the nation and its president saying, climate is real, climate matters, and we're going to put the full weight of the federal government behind every innovation, every technology, every new job creator to make sure that our kids, our grandkids have a chance at a cleaner and a better future. Mayor Walden.
Thank you, Mayor Steinberg, for your leadership on this issue. I want to join the city of Sacramento. When we convened, the mayor's compelling and, for many people, way out into the future. We talked about the impending likelihood of very frequent wildfires, about droughts, about flooding, about pandemics. All have been the rationale for our work on climate change. So many folks said, yeah, we need to get to work on that because we've got to deal with that by 2030, 2050. But you know what? For those of us that are struggling with when is 2020 going to end, if we don't take bold, decisive action at all levels of government on climate change, we'll be living in something like 2020 for the rest of our lives, and only getting worse. We're seeing that on the ground here in our cities, in small communities like mine in West Sacramento. The impacts of not just the global trends, but what we're doing here locally really matter. Of course, we need a partner in the federal government, but we especially need the federal government to get out of the way first and stop trying to tell California and our local communities what not to do, to tell us that we cannot regulate vehicles, to tell us that we cannot regulate electricity, to tell us that we cannot take the basic steps that are necessary to move forward to protect our climate. But then, like every other challenge our country has ever faced, every other challenge, from civil rights to an interstate highway system to global wars, we've always come together in the face of challenges at every level, from the smallest Andy Griffith town to the big cities of West Sacramento and Sacramento to every state in the union, led by our national government. We must have a president and a federal government that leads on climate, that looks it straight in the eye and says we as a country can and must come together. It's not about just sacrifice, it's about building a new economy that works for everyone, builds prosperity out of a climate-friendly green economy. That's exactly what we're demonstrating right here on the ground in Sacramento and West Sacramento. The moment that Climate Commission report came out, the city of Sacramento in the lead and with West Sacramento right behind them, took bold action, said, yeah, we are all in. This is not a report that's gonna sit on the shelf while we study it a little longer. We're not gonna think about it, we're not gonna do any polls, because we can't afford to. The health, the safety, the livelihoods of our people at every level of this country, particularly on the streets of our communities here in Sacramento, depend on it. So I also join in appreciating the support and the assistance of the federal government through the National Guard and through direct aid to cities and states in order to grapple with this crisis. But we can't keep up with just more aid and support and FEMA assistance. We must end these crises. And we can. We know that from the work that we're doing here in California and in our two cities. Thank you so much to Mayor Steinberg for his leadership, and to the governor and to the state government for putting California at the center of this work. But we know at the local level that we can do this in a way that promotes economic prosperity for all, inclusion for all, while also taking bold action to dramatically reduce our impact on the planet and rescue ourselves and our future. With that, let me turn it back to Mayor Steinberg.
We, of course, when it comes to the federal government, of course, it's very large, and the real thanks belong to the Forest Service, the federal firefighters, the state firefighters, the local firefighters. We have 14 Sacramento firefighters that are providing mutual aid here, and they're the heroes here who really deserve the thanks. Let me turn it now to, again, the new general manager to be of the respected Sacramento Municipal Utility District, Paul Lau.
Thank you, Mayor Steinberg, and thank you, Mayor Walden, for your leadership in this fight against climate change. The work that you did in the Climate Commission, I think is absolutely transformational. So we have been a leader in the battle against climate change for the last 20 years. Our current 2040 Green Energy Plan was dubbed by the CEC as one of the most aggressive in the nation. But our board, working with the city, felt there's a greater sense of urgency that we need to take bolder actions. So just like the city, our board has declared a climate crisis declaration that we're accelerating decarbonizing our grid and get to carbon neutral by 2030. This is probably one of the most aggressive goals of any utility in the US and not the world. So our board has committed $1.7 billion for building and transportation electrification and working with our partners. So one thing our board is very important to do is not just battling climate change and not only be a global leader in doing that, but we must do it in a way that does not sacrifice reliability, making sure that our rates are low and making sure that no community get left behind. So we know going forward, SMUD cannot this alone. We must partner with the city of Sacramento, the city of West Sacramento, our partners in the community, like the Air Quality District, or our regulators, like the California Energy Commission and the California Public Utilities Commission, to make sure that we're all aligned, that we can reach this ambitious goal together. And by partnering, I'm confident that we can all reach this bold goal together to make sure this earth, this place, our community, is a better place for our children and our grandchildren. Thank you very much again, Mayor Steinberg and Mayor Walden. Oh, now I'm turning it back to Mayor Steinberg.
Okay. That's okay. People, out there wonder, are we beyond repairing the climate? And I think we always have to recognize the enormity of the challenge, but also provide some hope. And the hope for me lies in what we've done with pollution, with ozone, with other parts of the clean air battle over decades. We declared a war on smog back in the 70s and 80s. And because we had partnership, real partnership with federal leadership, state leadership, and local leadership, we've been able to actually see real reductions in some of the air quality challenges that we thought would never get better. And it takes great local leadership here. I want to turn it over to Alberto Ayala, who is leading our county and our region's effort here to make sure that Sacramento, despite its decades of challenge, is doing everything it can to lead the way.
Thank you, Mayor. It's great to be here. Again, as the Director of the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District, but also the Air Pollution Control Officer for Sacramento County, it's a pleasure for me to be here and to support the leadership and the initiative that West Sacramento and Sacramento took in bringing us all together behind this concept of the Mayor's Climate Commission and really empowering and enabling a vision where we can take our region to meet both the clean air and low carbon goals that we set for ourselves. I think it's very fitting that we're doing this discussion today because we are celebrating this year the 50th anniversary of the Federal Clean Air Act that clearly led us down this path. So I thank you for giving us the opportunity to participate and to do what we can as a regional agency to meet the low carbon and clean air goals that we've set up for the region. But today, in my capacity as the Air Pollution Control Officer for the county, I was asked to bring you two key points. And one is clearly be mindful of the very serious, unhealthy air quality levels that we have been experiencing. I don't need to say more about the connection between these more extreme, more frequent, more ravaging wildfires that we've been experiencing, and the fact that it seems to be a trend that is accelerating, that we seem to every year be talking about a worse extreme condition than the previous. Where does it all end? It doesn't, and that is the scary part, that we need to fight to really get a handle of our changing climate. And I don't mean to bring more bad news, but as the mayor alluded to, even though at the moment particle pollution is a big concern, ozone is still a problem. And even though ozone cannot be seen by the naked eye, this is something that concerns us, particularly in the summer. And we have had a number of violations of the ozone standards. And it's difficult for us as public officials to convey that message to the public, but it's really a call to action to protect yourselves and to really empower our leaders who are really trying to get us on track to really get a handle on what is causing this unprecedented change in our global climate. The last remark that I will make also is to point out that let us not forget that the conditions that we're experiencing are not impacting us all equally. That we have communities in our region that have been historically disproportionately impacted by air pollution. And we are working in partnership with our leaders locally, the state leaders, and the communities themselves to try to get a better handle in terms of what are these disproportionate impacts of air pollution at the local community level. But more importantly, what can we do about it? What can we do in terms of us being actors in the region to bring solutions to these communities that sorely need it? And this is where the leadership of the mayors behind me come into play, because enabling the goals and the commitments under the Climate Commission is really what is going to empower agencies like my air district and our friends at SMUD to really go into the community and bring some of these solutions. So Mayor, thank you for inviting us. We redouble our commitment to do what we can to help with the Climate Commission goals and in general to bring the region to better quality. Thank you.
Mayor and I and our other climate leaders here are happy to answer any questions.
Do you hear any confusion from people about dealing with local laws and state laws and federal laws, which seem to conflict sometimes?
Well, sure, people are confused. And it really is very clear that when you have a crisis and an emergency of this magnitude, that federal leadership is essential. As much as California has done, as much as Sacramento and West Sacramento leads, we can't solve this alone. It requires an American president who not only sees the problem, acknowledges the problem, but is willing to put the weight of his office behind making it better. We don't have that now. I mean, we have a president who has denied and has retrenched. And as a result, we go forward with our efforts, which are meaningful, which are essential, which will make a difference, but they're not enough. We need the nation. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Good.